We'll keep counting.
We certainly will, and we're only moments away, John, from another round of poll closings. Voting is about to end in 4 states, including the key battlegrounds of Iowa and Nevada. A total of 21 electoral votes are on the line right now. We got a key race alert right now. We believe it's too early to call in Iowa, for example, 6 electoral votes right there. Too early to call in Nevada right there, 6 electoral votes. Too early to call in Utah right now as well. Another 6 electoral votes there. It's too early to call in the state of Montana. 3 electoral votes right now. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map where things stand right now. There you can see in the race for 270 needed to win the presidency, Biden is still ahead. He has 89 Electoral College votes. Trump has 72 Electoral College votes. Let's get a key race alert right now. Here's where things stand in these key battleground states. Let's start in Ohio right now. 69% of the estimated vote is in Ohio. Trump is ahead by 102,000 votes over Biden, 50.5% to 48.1%. In North Carolina, 84% of the vote is in. Biden has a very small lead of nearly 30,000 votes, 49.7% to 49.1%. In Minnesota right now, 29% of the vote is in. Biden has a relatively comfortable 300,000 vote lead over Trump, 64.2% to 33.8%. In New Hampshire, more than a quarter of the vote is in. 26% of the vote is in. Biden has a nearly 20,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.6% to 45.1%. We've got 7 more states we want to check out right now. Let's check out Florida right now. Trump is pretty comfortably ahead with 93% of the vote is in. He's got a lead of 382,000 votes over Biden in Florida, 29 electoral votes in Florida. In Pennsylvania, only 20% of the vote is in. Trump is ahead by some 46,000 votes, 51% to 47.7% in Pennsylvania. In Michigan right now, a quarter of the vote almost is in. Trump is ahead by 228,000 votes, but it's early. 23% of the estimated vote is in, 57%. In Texas, 77% of the vote is in. Trump has a 215,000 vote lead over Biden, 50.5% to 48.1%. In Wisconsin, more than a quarter of the vote is in. Trump has a narrow 28,000 vote lead over Biden right now. It's still early, 50.6% there. In Georgia, 51% of the vote is in. Trump has a pretty comfortable lead right now, 346,000 lead over Biden, 16 electoral votes in Georgia. In Virginia, more than half of the vote is in, 53%. Trump's lead is 189,000 votes over Biden, 53% to 45.3%. Let's walk over to John King at the Magic Wall. John, what are you looking at right now? What's jumping out at you?
Right now, I was just looking every now and then. I just like to look at president by county. We look by states all the time. I just like to look by county. You'll see a lot more red counties in America. You always do. That's the way it works. But because of the smaller counties, but the Democrats win in the red counties. We're just taking a look at that. It's a personal curiosity as we go through the nights. And now we come back to this right here, 50.7 to 47.9 in the national vote. But that's not how we pick presidents. We look at 2020 right here. Look what has just happened in the last few minutes. Ohio is red. The president ahead right now. If you look at the vote there, 70% there, 128,000 lead. A big shift there as more votes come in the state of Ohio, 50.8 to 47.9. This is why we've been telling you throughout the night, requires a little bit of patience on our part and on your part as well. They're counting votes in different ways, and so we're going to see some swings. And sometimes they're going to happen quickly when new votes come in. The president of the United States now leading in a state he must win, battleground Ohio, 50.8 to 47.9. 70%, still a ways to go. And as David Chalian noted earlier, we're waiting for some early vote here. We're waiting for states to count their votes. Some are doing it in a different order. Early voting, mail-in voting, and today voting. We'll see how it plays out. Just want to check to see if the margins are changing at all as we play through this. This is a big shift. This is a very big shift on the map. President Trump, Ohio goes back to red for now. We're not done. We have a ways to go. 30% of the count there. You're looking at Pennsylvania right now. If you're looking at this map right now, let me just pull it back out a second. If you're a Democrat sitting at home right now, you're looking at this map and you say, oh my, it's happening again. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. If you're a Republican, you're saying that's what we needed. Here's the thing. Slow down. We have a long way to go in all of these states. No offense to anybody, but we're 21% right here. We know Pennsylvania has some issues. Some of the mail-in votes won't even be counted until tomorrow. It's worth looking at. These are all real votes. The question is, we don't have context yet because we're so early in these states. So just be careful. Don't look at the map at this hour and make any judgments because we're in the middle chapters here. In some states, in the early chapters, again, the president has a lead in Michigan right now. Last time we were here, He was leading in Wayne County. We knew that wasn't going to happen. Joe Biden is ahead now, but that's a tiny, tiny vote count. There's a long way to go in these states. That's what makes them interesting. They're going to flip back and forth a little bit. Let's move over to Wisconsin and look. And again, the president has a narrow lead here, 51 if you want to round that up, to 48 if you round that up. But again, 30% of the vote, a long way to go. So when you pull it out like this, people look at it at home and you can, wow, we're not done. We have a long way to go in a lot of places, including Virginia is red right now. If the president can keep Virginia red, the president's going to be reelected. But we don't know this yet still. 53 to 45, that's actually gotten closer in recent times. And again, you come back up here. This is where elections in Virginia are won and lost. Northern Virginia is what has changed Virginia from a purple state to a blue state, and we're waiting still. We only have 28% of the vote. Fairfax County, it's the largest vote center in the state. It is Democratic, overwhelmingly so. So we'll see when votes come in here. Let's move down here. Look at this. Look at North Carolina. This was over 100,000 at one point. I think it was over 120,000 at one point. It is now 5,000, 2,000 as you speak. More votes come in. That's the magic. That is the magic of live data reporting and the counting votes. 2,000 votes ahead, 49.4 to 49.4 in battleground North Carolina. Joe Biden doesn't need it, but if he gets it, he blocks the president's path to re-election, most likely. This state, remember, and again, this is a textbook example of what we've asked throughout the night. Patience on our part, patience on your part. Early votes came in. Joe Biden built an early lead. Now we're getting election day votes in. North Carolina, tight.
Let's take a look at Arizona. The votes coming in relatively quickly in Arizona. I think nearly a quarter of the vote is in Arizona.
And so you see it blue right now. Not since Bill Clinton has Arizona ended the night. We're not at the end of the night, but not since Bill Clinton, with the help of Ross Perot, has Arizona gone blue. And so you look at it now, and you see the entire state. You see the familiar cities: Flagstaff, Sedona, Yuma, Tucson. Let's be honest, this comes down to Maricopa County and Phoenix, one of the fastest growing areas in America. 60% or more of the vote comes right out of here. 77% of it in. Again, we'll figure out what's missing from that. But Joe Biden at 54%, the president at 44, so a 10-point race. A little under 10-point race. Let's just go back and look at it. Excuse me, get that to click in. Again, so Donald Trump wins Arizona 4 years ago, wins Maricopa County. This is the biggest basket of votes. Phoenix and the fast-growing suburbs. 4 years later, from 2016 to 2020, this is one of the fastest-growing states. You get out of Phoenix, you get down here, Goodyear and the like, fast-growing suburbs. Again, the suburbs have revolted against this president. There's an important Senate race in this state as well. Let's come back to 2020 and look at the map. That Maricopa County is blue, is a source of joy in the Biden campaign right now. They have to keep it that way. Let's just look down here. Pima County, again, 64 if you round that up to 35. 80% of the vote in. You go back here, 54. So by 10 percentage points, you're overperforming Hillary Clinton. Just want to see how the turnout is here. 224,000 4 years ago, already 260,000. Again, one of the gifts of this election, no matter who wins, is turnout is up everywhere. That's a good thing. We want that to happen every time. But again, you see the split right there. Joe Biden overperforming Hillary Clinton there. You got some rural areas here to fill in the state. If you go back in time, you can see what happens here. The states, but this is it. This is it. Maricopa County, Phoenix, the suburbs around it. Again, traditionally Republican territory, increasingly because of demographics and because of the suburban revolt against the president of the United States. Maricopa County, if that holds up, that's the ball game in Arizona. But we have a ways to go there. The biggest piece of the state, Joe Biden doing what he has to do otherwise. And again, Wolf, we talked about this before. Both campaigns look at the last guy's map. So you look at the Trump map from 2016. If you're Joe Biden, priority one, hold every Clinton state, and then look for things to flip. If you can flip Arizona, you're chipping away at the president. So the main priority for the Biden campaign is that blue wall. Let's come back out and look. This is the main priority. Flip these guys back. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. If you do that, that's all you have to do if you're Joe Biden. That's all you have to do. But your backup plan, get something else, right? North Carolina is your hope. That one's getting close. If you can't get these, you go over here as well. You say North Carolina right there. That's 1,300 votes.
Basically a tie right now.
That's basically a tie. Again, if you end it that way, you win. A win is a win. But we got a ways to go. 86%. This is why they're so much fun. Let's just come back out here and see if anything's updated. No, still at 70% here. Got to give these states credit in the challenge they face. Many of these states are reporting pretty quickly. Yeah. In the challenge they face with all the different kinds of voting this year, it's a good thing to see. Just want to check. He wants to want to go back to Arizona here. I was going to check the upper Midwest, but as you see, 70% of the vote in here. And again, let's just see here, 70%. So 4 years ago, more conservative part of the state, 51. This is where we are now, 51 to 46. Let's just go back, 48. So the president actually doing fine here, right? Doing better, at least so far, right there. 26,000 votes now. 25,000. So the president doing better here, running up some votes here. The problem for the president, when you look at it this way, though, and come back to 2020, is that's great. That's what you want to do. You want to do better everywhere you can. The issue is way more people live here. Way more people. And so you get 798,000, 77% in. Let's compare that to Secretary Clinton 4 years ago. She had 702,000 to end the night. We're not done yet. And she was at 45 with the president at 49. Joe Biden, 54%. That's game-changing. If you can keep that there, we're still counting in Arizona. And again, that would be a flip. If I can walk over here, I just want to show you the significance of this as you come through this here. Let's come back to the president's map from 4 years ago. And again, if you're Joe Biden and you're looking at this map, you had a very comfortable lead here coming in. That would get the president down to 290. You had a lead here. That would get the president down to 280. And if you can pick this up here, you're at 269, 269. Everybody at home, take a gasp right now. 269, 269. It never ends up this way, but we do have scenarios where it happens. And then if you're Joe Biden, you look up here in the state of Maine, you think you're going to pick up that second congressional district. Just that, right? Michigan, Wisconsin, that's just as, I mean, they're not easy to win, so I shouldn't say just. But Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and the congressional district there. There's also a congressional district in here, Nebraska and Maine. Do it by congressional district where Joe Biden is favored. So it is possible for Joe Biden to win the presidency. That's a squeaker, but that's why Arizona is so important. You're looking at this map, you're thinking, well, Trump, is he going to pull off Pennsylvania again? Joe Biden had, what, 5, 6, 7-point lead at the end of the race. Hillary Clinton had 3, 4-point lead at the end of the last race, but you're not sure. You're not sure about that. You think you're going to get it back, but you're not sure. You feel more comfortable about this. You feel more comfortable about that. If you can get that, that's the game. That's the game. You look at the last guy's map, you take something away. That's why Arizona matters. Also, just remember the demographics of the United States. When I started covering presidential politics, that was red. That was purple, competitive state. That was red. That was red. The changing of American demographics is, I know tonight we're picking a president, 2020 and beyond, but we're also watching a changing country and how it votes. And it's fascinating. Now, we'll come back to here because we're not done yet on these things. But here's where we are right now. As they start to build the building blocks up, this is where it gets interesting. 89 to 72. We're starting to fill in as we come over here. We're into the 10 o'clock hour, right? Yes, we are. I had to check the watch on that one. We're into the 10 o'clock hour, which is, this is where in presidential politics, 10, 11, up to midnight. Yeah,
California, Oregon, Washington State, they're about to close at the top of the hour. Those are big states as well.
And they're counting more votes here, too. That's why, as we get later into the night, this is why it matters more. And so let's just look at it again. Again, this is one Trump wanted to flip. Joe Biden wants to flip Arizona. Donald Trump wanted to flip Minnesota. Not happening if you look at it right now. So we don't see that yet. We'll watch them. We'll continue to watch it. Just want to keep checking in on these. Again, if you're in the Trump campaign headquarters, you're looking at Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If you can hold those, then you hold the presidency, right? But again, we just want to remind you, you're going to see things on the map. You're going to hold for a while, but this is slower count. So we're going to see this play out. 30% of the vote in Wisconsin. You come over to Michigan. Again, some of this may come tomorrow. We'll see. They're going to do the best they can. As we get later in the night, we'll know more about that. And then you come over here to Pennsylvania. Again, very, very early in the night. You see, I just want to take a peek down here, see how we're doing in Philadelphia. Look, 70,000 votes in Philadelphia, which means nothing, which means we're just starting.
9%.
Yeah, we're just starting the night in Pennsylvania. So we need to be careful about drawing any conclusions there. So then let's look at where we do have a lot of votes, right? This is real business now. When you get to a place, 72% in Ohio, Donald Trump up, stretching that lead a little bit, 177,000 votes. The Republican governor, Mike DeWine, thought the president would squeak it out. We'll see. Got a ways to go yet. As David Chalian noted, there's some early votes still to be counted there, so this could swing again. That's why we count to the end. And I want to come back to North Carolina, which is now red for the president, 25,000 votes ahead. This again, you're going to watch the map swing, right? Joe Biden had a big early lead in North Carolina. Democrats get optimistic, but we have to remember the difference of this night in the pandemic election, the different ways people voted and the different pace at which states are counting them. North Carolina now, the president ahead, up to 88%, 49.6 to 49.2. That means we still have more to count, but you see the swing. And we're going to see that. We're going to see some states start out blue and go back red because of the way the votes are counted. Sometimes they count the early votes first or the mail-in votes first, and today votes, election day votes later. Other states do it in a different order, and they'll swing the other way, which is why we just got to finish. Don't try to end the book before we get to the finish line.
Right.
49.6 to 49.2. Let's pull this out. You see this red here. Again, this one here, I'm waiting to see, up to 54% right now. There are some Democrats in Virginia who are starting to get a little nervous, and they're calling the Fairfax Board of Elections and saying, hello, can we get the votes? So let's see what happens. We watch that one play out. and come down here, battleground Florida. Again, president's starting to inch this one out a little bit. 51 to 2, 47.8, but 94%. Again, this is Florida. If that holds by Florida standards, that's a blowout. But we'll see. We'll go back 4 years ago, 49 to 48. One of the things we are seeing, one of the things we should make note of this, we have it earlier, is that the third-party candidates are not getting the votes they did 4 years ago. So you have winning candidates in states getting over 50%. The national vote still right there. Let's go back to Arizona and see if we've racked it up at all. Up to 73% now, 210,000 votes ahead. Again, 54 to 45 if you round it up, 49 to 45 4 years ago. Joe Biden, Maricopa County is the difference right now. And again, the city of Phoenix, the suburbs around it. If you go to Arizona, if you were there 10 years ago and 5 years ago and 5 weeks ago, you just know the change that's happening. This is one of the fastest changing places in America, growing out here in the suburbs. 800,000 votes, just shy of that for Joe Biden right now. I just want to go back and look at the math. Hillary Clinton got 700,000 votes plus 702,703 if you round up Maricopa County 4 years ago. Again, turnout is up everywhere. Joe Biden's already surpassed that, 77% of the vote. That's a fascinating state. And that's fascinating. One of the questions about American politics is what's changing. Is it just a Trump change? Is it, if this finishes tonight, blue?
There are a few counties that haven't even reported.
Yes, they've got nothing in some of these counties here. Apache County out here. Again, there's not a ton of votes out here, but if you just bring it up, 17,000, 8,000. So Maricopa is 60% or more of the vote, depending on the turnout. But it matters if it gets close. It certainly matters. And so that's one of the, you look at it. Every vote counts. I don't mean to discount anybody's vote. Every vote counts. But in terms of the swing of the state, this is going to determine most of it, and you're at 77%. But to your point, when you get this higher, if it's close and you get this higher, that's when you're looking around, and that has been part of the marvel of Donald Trump's winning, is that in places like that, even when he gets beat in the cities, not so much in Arizona, but in some of these other places, again, look at all the red in the middle of the map, right? Not a ton of people live here, but the president runs it up, gets his 6,000 votes here, gets his 14,000 votes here, and you go on and on and on, and that's how he does it. In these smaller counties, turnout is high, he runs it up, and so far, let's come down here. I just want to look one more time. That has stayed exactly the same, 25,482. South Carolina was blue for a little bit early on. You see that one going back to its DNA, the conservative state there. Georgia, not as competitive at the moment. Again, 52% though. So again, you're in this night where you have three different kinds of voting, different states, sometimes within a state, different counties reporting them in different order. The Democrats were hoping right here to have a closer state, but look, Fulton County, still, again, a third of the vote. This is it. This is by far. And so you move around these counties here. You have Cobb here. You move Fulton here. You come out here. It's very slow, 1% here. So we have this is the bulk of the vote in the state.
Georgia potentially could become a lot more competitive because a lot of the major Democratic counties have not reported yet.
Right, very low percentage here, all around the Atlanta metro area. And again, these are the smaller ones here, but still eighth of the county. So you're looking, Joe Biden's ahead, 72% here. You move closer into Atlanta, 68% here, but then you come over here, just 1%. And again, you go back in time 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton won pretty big here, and Joe Biden, many believe, will do even better. A, higher turnout, B, suburban rejection of the president. So we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. Maps can be deceptive when you have a big chunk of vote out in the Democratic area here. I just want to check down some other Democratic areas, about halfway there. Not quite, though. So there's more Democratic votes to be had there. Come over to the coast here. About 70% here, so some more votes, but fewer there. So you wait, and you see that's a pretty healthy lead, but it doesn't mean big city like Atlanta, growing suburbs around Atlanta, you can make up some pretty big math when those votes come in, and we'll see when they come in.
I'm curious about Michigan, and specifically what percentage of the vote in Detroit has come in?
So we have 30% statewide, and you come down here, and we have less than a third, 28% there. We've been through Wayne County on many an election night, too. Sometimes it goes really late. Sometimes things get a little frustrating, waiting for the count to come in. I'll just use that word. But 147,000, 113,000, 28%. So you come up here again. Now you're going to move up to Oakland County, the suburbs here, about halfway in the count here. This used to be reliably Republican territory, but it has become increasingly Democratic. So here's a question for you, right? Hillary Clinton, 51 to 44 when you round up the president there, 52 to 44 if you round up Secretary Clinton as well. Right now, Donald Trump doing a little better. So let's see what happens there. See if Michigan, again, we're early, very early in the count here, but that's what you're watching, right? Democrats, to win Michigan, Joe Biden has to, let me move it up a little bit. Joe Biden has to run it up in Detroit and then do well in the suburbs. And again, Macomb County, we're at 35%, so don't jump to any conclusions here. But this is one of the flips, right? This is one of the flips. Barack Obama carried Macomb County twice. What we call them pivot counties. You vote twice for Barack Obama, then you flip for Donald Trump. That has Democrats scratching their heads. Why did we lose those voters? And who are those voters? Well, in Macomb County, they work in the auto industry, or they work in related industries like that. Blue-collar workers, people who work with their hands. This has been a problem for the Democrats. Joe Biden said he could get them back. So we'll see. We got a long way to go there, so you don't want to jump to any conclusions. But it's also important, if you just pull Michigan up again and you go back to 2016, you don't see a ton of blue here, but you come back to 2012, this is the difference, right? Can Joe Biden, can the guy who was number 2 to Barack Obama on the ticket win back some of these areas that Barack Obama won when he carried these states, many of them quite convincingly? You see there, this is Mitt Romney's birth state. I know he moved to Massachusetts, now he's in Utah, but this is where he was born, and Barack Obama beat him by 10 points. So the question is, can Joe Biden get those counties back? We're very early in the count in Michigan right now, a long way to go. And so again, if you're looking at the map from home, you say, if you're a Republican, you say, wow. If you're a Democrat, you say, uh-oh. But we're not done. We got a long way to go.
We certainly do. Let's go check in with Jake, Dana, and Abby.
Thanks, Wolf. So we need to caution our viewers out there. It's early. Whether you're rooting for Trump or you're rooting for Biden, it's early. We're still counting the votes. I don't know if this is 2016 or 2018. You might remember in 2018, things looked really bad for Democrats or uncertain early on. But then, you know, after not just midnight struck, but a couple days, you saw that actually it had been a really great night for Democrats. On the other hand, it could be 2016 with things breaking for President Trump. We don't know. Everyone needs to just take a deep breath out.
Which is hard. I mean, look, this is a nation that is on edge, so it's understandable. But as you said, and as we have been telegraphing as we've approached tonight, it could take a while, and it is bearing out. And what I'm hearing from Democrats in particular, over and over, text after text, let's just wait and see what happens up north. Let's just wait and see what happens, meaning Michigan, Wisconsin, and not as north, but more further north, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Arizona is still an unanswered question about what's going on there, but this is what happens when you have a lot of battlegrounds. And in this cycle, we had a lot of states that were on the grid in terms of competitive races where you're going to have tight competitions between President Trump and Joe Biden, and we have to wait for all the votes to come in to really know where this thing is headed. I do think that based on where we are right now, we're in the choose your own adventure part. We're in the part of the choose your own adventure where we really need the patience. We really need people to just wait until it comes in, because it's not going to be an easy, early, quick night for people. These votes are coming in little by little, and it's tight in a lot of these.
Very tight. And when the polls would say before the election that Joe Biden was up 1 or 2 points in a state, but that was within the margin of error, that meant it was a toss-up, which is what we said.
We're seeing the margin of error
at the time,
out,
and we still don't know about Florida. We still don't know about Georgia. We still don't know about North Carolina. And as we have also been saying, even if you were to give those states, all of them, to President Trump, and we're not, we're still waiting for a lot of outstanding vote, it really does come up to the 3 states up north: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and also Arizona. Those are the states that the Biden campaign has focused most on, and we still don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that you heard a lot from the Trump folks leading up to today is that they knew their job was just to get their people out, and just to get them to the polls and ignore all of the public polling that we've all been talking about and looking at. And you know, I do think that when you look at the Sun Belt, where we knew that there was elevated turnout, the president is still very competitive in those states, the places that he had to hold on to: Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. He had to keep those states, and he's competitive there. And the reason for that is because his people showed up today.
That's exactly right. He needed, this was a turnout election. It wasn't a persuasion election, meaning there weren't a lot of people out there going, do I vote for Joe Biden or do I vote for Donald Trump? Pretty much everybody made up their mind. The question is whether or not they were going to get out and vote. And the Trump campaign has in cooperation with the RNC, which has been working on its, what they call their voter vault since 2004, they have a really stellar operation. And they actually built it in recent years, modeled after Barack Obama's operation, because his was so good. That campaign's was so good when it came to data, and they've updated it more and more. The Democrats even will admit, and we were talking about this before, that they're a little bit slower on that, but they were relying on some of that, but a lot of enthusiasm.
And I would add that for Democrats, the task was even more difficult because they chose, for a lot of, they would say really good reasons, not to be on the ground knocking on doors in the way that you might have seen leading up to a normal cycle because of the pandemic.
Right.
So I mean, there's no, when I talk to Democrats, everyone acknowledges that is a scenario that nobody anticipated, put them at a little bit at a disadvantage, but we may see some of that play out in the places where the president was able to get his people out. Maybe he didn't change any minds, but as long as he got his people out, their argument, their state of the case, their theory of the case.
Yes.
Sorry, I cannot speak tonight. Is that as long as they do that, they can be competitive, and that's the big question. He had to defend his term.
So, and first of all, you have to give credit to President Trump, even when it looked a few weeks ago like this thing was gone and out of his reach. He did work his tail off and get out there and get out to those counties and rally his supporters. And obviously, that has paid off at the very least in making this race so competitive. And again, we don't know where it's going to end up. We have no idea. We still have yet to hear from Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and we're starting to hear from Arizona.
Yeah.
But also, I think, I just know that there are a lot of people out there who maybe paid attention only to the most Trump-hating pundits out there who were saying for weeks, if not months, that this was going to be a landslide. And, you know, as they say, you can't get high on your own supply, right? You need
Do
to
they
listen,
say that?
You need to be able to listen to everyone and all the pundits, left, right,
I feel like
center,
I'm learning
and
so
look
much
at the
about
data.
so much tonight, Jake.
Well, I just think that there are some people out there who are disappointed
No,
because
you're
they
right.
thought this thing was going to be over when.
And by
He
the way, he's an incumbent president
Right.
who has inherent
But not just that, he has remarkably enthusiastic, loyal supporters all across the
right.
country.
But again, we're still waiting to hear.
We are.
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona. Wolf?
All right, Jake, thank you. We love the commentary. Let's get a key race alert right now. Take a look at this. Arizona right now, 75% of the estimated vote is in. And Joe Biden has an impressive lead right now, a lead of more than 208,000 votes, 53.7% to 45%, 11 electoral votes in Arizona. More than a third of the vote is in New Hampshire right now. Biden has a 27,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.8% to 44.8%. In Minnesota, more than a third of the vote is in there, and Biden has an impressive 285,000 vote lead over Trump, 61.4% to 36.6%. In Iowa right now, 19% of the vote is in. Biden's lead is 85,000, 61% to 36.9%. We've got some more states right now. Let's take a look at these other states that are coming in. Michigan, a third of the vote is now in. Trump is ahead by some 210,000 votes, 54.7% to 43.4%. In Pennsylvania, almost a third of the vote is in. Trump is ahead by 179,000 votes, 53.4% to 45.2%. In Wisconsin, a third of the vote is in. It's very, very close. Trump is ahead by some 20,000 votes, 50% to 48.3%. In Georgia right now, more than half of the vote is in. Trump has a pretty comfortable lead in Georgia of 348,000 votes. Right now, 55.4%. We have a projection right now. Take a look at this. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win in New Mexico right now. Take a look at that. Joe Biden wins in New Mexico. There he is, the winner in New Mexico. That's 5 electoral votes in New Mexico. So let's see where the Electoral College map stands right now. Right now, with that win in New Mexico, Biden has 94 electoral votes. Trump has 72 electoral votes. The all-important race to 270 needed to win. 94 to 72 right now. 270 being the magic number. You're elected president if you get 270 votes. What are you seeing?
Well, you're seeing a map right now that's going to make Democrats nervous, and so which is why we need to emphasize the point that when you see red Pennsylvania, red Michigan, and red Wisconsin, we are very, 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 very early in the count there. However, if you look at this map right now, the name of the game, if you're Joe Biden, is takeaway, because Donald Trump's the incumbent president who won last time. And so we're not done yet. We're not done yet by any means, but you look at North Carolina, the president's stretching a lead out here, 89%. It's a modest lead, 42,423, but 49.8 to 49. Joe Biden had a lead early on. Donald Trump's election day surge puts him back in the lead. Can he hold it? We'll watch that as we play it out, but Republicans feel good about that. We're coming down to Florida now, and you look here, a 5.6 million for the president, 5.2. Higher turnout in Florida, a very competitive race. Again, we have to wait. We're going to count some things here, but Democrats are not happy, particularly with down here in Miami-Dade, 53%. You see 53, 46, you think that's great, but that's way below where Hillary Clinton was 4 years ago. So you're looking at this map here. The plus side for the Democrats is out here in Arizona, where Joe Biden right now, 75% of the vote, 54 if you round up to 45. That's a big shift from 4 years ago when the president won at 49, 45, a 4-point race. You see the president, Joe Biden, the Democrat, above 50 there. So let's just put this into context. Number one, this was the name of the game in 2016. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done. Some of these states could go on into tomorrow. But as you look at this map, many Democrats say it does raise the scenario many of them are worried about. An hour or two from now, is the president going to come out and say, I win, if he's still leading in those states? We're not done. That's not how we count. These states will decide who wins their elections, and we have a lot of votes to count. But the question is, the name of the game, well, if I'm going to switch maps here, is this is where we are right now, 94 to 72. There are no surprises on this map so far. Everything we see filled in is the way we thought it would go coming into the night. There are also, though, if you think about out here, where we haven't counted votes yet because it's still early in the night, people are still voting. We don't think there are any more surprises out that way, if you will. Nevada was the one Clinton state. The Trump campaign made a run. We'll see. But we expect that to stay Democratic, which is why things get interesting now. Again, we haven't called some of these close states, but this is the calculation in both of the campaign war rooms. This is where Donald Trump started. Joe Biden has to look at this map and say, what do I take away to get him below 270 and to get me to 270? So Joe Biden wanted Florida. Not yet. We'll see. We'll keep counting. Doesn't look that way. Wanted North Carolina. Donald Trump has a lead right now. We'll see. We'll get to the finish line. Georgia, we got a lot of votes out. The Democrats had these targets of opportunity. Can we get these states can we get a surge? We'll watch Georgia. We're still missing a lot of Democratic votes. Texas is filling in red. Again, we haven't called it. We have a ways to go, but it's filling in red right now. So far, you look like you're getting that, right? We're not done. We're not done in Arizona yet either. But as you project it out, so okay, now you got the president at 295. If you're not going to get Ohio, haven't called it yet, we're waiting. There's a possibility some votes out, North Carolina or Florida, where do you go? Well, then we come back. Number one, let's just assume for the sake of argument, Joe Biden gets the congressional district here. Hard to see if there is a Trump election day surge. The president went out here and did a rally, but the Democrats are pretty confident they're going to pick up the one in the 2nd district of Nebraska. So let's do that for the hypothetical. We'll watch as it plays out. Then you're at 293 to 245. So then we come down to where we ended 4 years ago, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, right? And so Joe Biden, 1, 2, gets you to the finish line. You don't absolutely need Pennsylvania. If you win Maine's 2nd congressional district, if you win Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, and you hold Arizona, you can do it without Florida, without Georgia, without North Carolina, without Ohio, and without Pennsylvania. But you have to win these two. Right? If you can win this as well, then it's game over. We've always known if Joe Biden could rebuild the blue wall, forgive me, Donald Trump would pay for it. The question is, can he make it happen when right now, if you look over here, again, we're early. This is where Democrats get nervous because they remember 2016. We cannot emphasize enough. We're nowhere close to the finish line in any of those states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. We need to count votes, and some of those counts could take until tomorrow. But we talked earlier about Joe Biden having the more menu options. Some of those menu options appear to be closing. We're not done yet, but that we still have, that we can't take Florida away. Still red over there. North Carolina, we'll see on Georgia. Joe Biden had many menu options coming into the night. That list is narrowing, which is why you get into tense time.
I want to check in with David Chalian, who's taking a very close look at the vote in Pennsylvania right now. What are you seeing over there?
Yeah, just exactly what John was talking about. I know it's red on the map right now, but we got to make sure we count the votes here. So what you see is Donald Trump leading Joe Biden in Pennsylvania with 32% of the vote in right now. Let's look at what we know about the early vote. Of that vote that's in, only 18% of it currently is early vote. And we know that Joe Biden is doing much better in the early vote. We expect that 18% to go all the way up to 45%. So there's a ton more early votes still to be counted here, and that could benefit Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. We just have to wait to see that early absentee mail vote come in and be counted, Wolf.
Very interesting. We're watching all these states, and this is a night like none other because of all the early voting, a record number of early voting that we've seen in some states taking a lot longer to count that early vote.
Right. Look, the battleground states are always complicated to begin with. Remember Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin 4 years ago. Remember Florida 4 years ago. Even North Carolina for a while we were looking at it, and then it's spaced out. So they're always complicated anyway. They're all the more complicated this time, and all the more difficult, especially for partisans who want to, who want their guy to win, right? And so let's just talk about what David was talking about. We come down here, Philadelphia County, Philadelphia City, and the counties around it. This is by far, it's 12% or more, depending on turnout, of the vote in Pennsylvania, 22%. So when I pull this back out and you see the state red, okay, again, you always want to be leading. At any point in the race, you like to be leading, but it's not contextual in the sense that we have nothing here. Let's just come over here to Montgomery County, 16%. Joe Biden at 89%. The suburban core around Philadelphia is the name of the game. Democrats have to run up a huge lead. You come over here. Bucks County is the more conservative of the suburban counties around here. If you go back 4 years ago, you'll see this one 48-47, Bucks County 4 years ago. The challenge for Joe Biden is to try to run it up a little bit more, 50-48. That's about the same, more or less. But again, 12% there, 16% of the estimated vote here. Chester County, 25%. You come back to Delaware County, 16%. So this is where the overwhelming bulk of the votes, the way you get started in Pennsylvania is Philadelphia and the suburban core around it. I'll just bring this up a little bit. And we don't have many votes. We're still in the single digits or the early teens. We got a long way to go. And so then you come over, you move over to the middle of the state. Again, 52% here, Harrisburg. The president, we know the president is going to run it up in places like this. You get these counties here. 95%, of the vote in here. The president has 70, 68%. The president has 82. Not a lot of people live here, but again, this is how the president does it. In the smaller, more rural counties, he runs it up big. So the challenge again is, we talked about Joe Biden not leading in Ohio right now, but more competitive than Hillary Clinton. Can he be more competitive in places like Washington County? Right now it's 60.9. One that a lot of people were looking at. There was a Trump rally here just the other day. Westmoreland County, 28% in, 63-36 if you round it up, 64-33. It's pretty close. We'll see Biden maybe a little bit higher than Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. That could matter if it's very close. And we'll watch Allegheny as well, but a long way to count.
We're going to take a quick break. We have a lot more coming up right after this. We have some more projections right now. Let's check in New Hampshire. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win the state of New Hampshire, will win its 4 electoral votes. Biden wins in New Hampshire. There are several states now where CNN projects that Trump is winning, 4 states specifically. CNN projects that Trump will win in Louisiana. He beats Biden in Louisiana, wins 8 electoral votes in Louisiana. CNN projects Donald Trump will win in Kansas, beats Biden in Kansas, 6 electoral votes there. Another 6 electoral votes in Utah. Trump wins in Utah. That's the CNN projection. And another 5 electoral votes in Nebraska. 3 out of the 5 electoral votes in Nebraska. 2 of them are still based on a congressional district. 3 out of 5 in Nebraska. So here's where the Electoral College map stands right now. Very, very close. Look at this. Biden has 98 Electoral College votes. Trump has 95. You need 270 to win the presidency. 98 to 95. Look at how close it is right now. Actually, we have a key race alert right now. Let's check in some of the numbers. Coming in from Michigan, 37% of the vote is in. Trump still maintains a 235,000 vote lead in Michigan, 54.8% to 43.4%. 37% of the vote is in. 33% of the vote is in Pennsylvania. Trump has a 236,000 vote lead in Pennsylvania, 54.3% to 44.3%. 37% of the vote is in Wisconsin. It's close. 25,000 vote lead for Trump over Biden, 50.1% to 48.2%. In Georgia, 58% of the vote is in. Trump has, looks like a pretty comfortable lead of 387,000 votes, 55.7% to 43.1% in those states. Let's take a look at some more states right now. In Arizona, right now, 75% of the vote is in. Biden looks like he has a relatively comfortable 208,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.7% to 45%. In Minnesota, 37% of the vote is in. Biden there looks like a pretty comfortable, nearly 300,000 vote lead over Trump, 60.7% to 37.2%. In Iowa right now, a quarter of the vote is in. Biden has a 76,000 vote lead over Trump, 57.4% to 41%. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. So let's take a look at the Electoral College map right now. No surprises at all so far. 98 for Biden, 95 for Trump.
And so now you're getting into the battleground states as we flip it out. But again, you need the building blocks to get to 270. First, you got to get to 100. Both candidates knocking on the door of 100 right now. But the key point is no surprises. So in the states so far, the Trump campaign hoped to flip New Hampshire. That hasn't happened. There's nothing on here just yet. The Biden campaign hoped to flip. These were all pretty reliably red states. Everything is coming in as you would like, right? Colorado, New Mexico, Utah. The question is, will there be any surprises, right? So at the moment, you're looking at this map. Both campaigns, this is their basic building blocks. So the question is, when you come back here, and again, you start to look at this map, what is it that Joe Biden hoped to change? He thought it was possible. He could flip Florida. We're still waiting on a lot of votes in Georgia, but comfortable lead for the president right now. North Carolina, a narrow lead for the president, but the president is overtaken. The whole challenge was, would there be an election day surge? We'll see if it holds up. Same thing has happened here. Early lead for Joe Biden. This is the anomaly of 2020. Mail-in votes counted. Democrats build an early lead. Election day vote gets counted. Republicans come back. We saw it here. We saw it here. The question is, does it hold up? We're not done yet. Joe Biden thought it might be possible to flip here in a big wave election. Democrats had their hopes up that this was a statement election. Again, we're not done with Texas yet. We're still counting votes there. We don't see it yet. So then you're back to, okay, if there's not a big map-changing, game-changing election, what does it come down to? Well, then we get back to here. And we're nowhere close in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin to counting. So right now, if you're looking at the map and you're thinking, what might Joe Biden flip? Right now, this is, we're not done with it yet, but that gets the president down some. But then to get him down more, we'll see. If you can mount a comeback in Florida, that changes everything. If you can mount a comeback in North Carolina, that changes everything. But if you're looking at the numbers right now, you're back into this calculation up here, Wolf. And if for Joe Biden, the blue wall was why Hillary Clinton lost. And if Joe Biden's going to win, he's going to change some of those.
David Chalian's getting some insight into what's going on in Michigan right now. What do you see?
This is the state of play in Michigan. You see Donald Trump's lead here, 1.1 million to Joe Biden's 907,000. 37% of the estimated vote is in Michigan right now. But here's what we know about the early vote, okay? Of that 37% that's in, 17% of that current vote is early vote. We expect the share of the early vote to go up. We expect at the end of the night 55% of the overall vote in Michigan to be early vote. And we know that Joe Biden is doing much better in the early vote. We also know we have almost no early vote in Wayne County, Detroit, big Democratic area. Very, very little early vote in Macomb. No early vote at all in Kent. Those two have been sort of battleground counties. So as that share of the early vote goes up, the Biden campaign is hoping he can start to have room here to overtake that lead that Donald Trump currently holds in Michigan, Wolf.
Very interesting indeed. John, let's take a closer look at Michigan right now. That's a key battleground state. Trump won it very narrowly 4 years ago. The Democrats are hoping to win it this time.
It's made, but let me start with your point. Trump won it very narrowly 4 years ago. You see that big lead right there. Even if the president wins Michigan, we have no expectation it would be by such a large margin. That's why, again, you look at certain things and you realize this is an election like no other. We're counting votes in different sequences, so we have to be careful as we go. If you're the Republicans, your Trump campaign, you're looking at the map, you think it's great. But remember, let's come in here. As David noted, Wayne County, about 28%. This is Detroit and the suburbs around it. By far, it's about 18% of the vote, 18% in a high turnout election. It could be a little higher than that. 147,000 right there. Let's just go back in time. 519,000 votes for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago, and Democrats were disappointed. The turnout was down in Wayne County compared to 2012. But remember, so you have 519,000 then. This is a higher turnout election. We know that. Maybe the president wins Michigan, but the numbers are going to go up from that. And so when you see that's where you are now, you know that everybody just needs to slow, and we need to count more votes here. So let's move up to Oakland County. Again, Joe Biden leading. We think a little bit more of the vote in here. But again, 233,875 leading. Let's just go back and look at it here. Again, we think turnout is higher this year. Secretary Clinton was well above that in this county. And so we just need to wait. We need to let the vote come in. Let's move over to Macomb County. President carried this county 4 years ago. Again, key blue collar. It's a laboratory for so-called Reagan Democrats. Political scientists study it. The president won it 53% with 224,000 plus votes. We come over here now. Again, he's leading. It's a higher turnout election. We're only at 143,000 votes. So we just need to slow down and let them count the votes in Michigan. And again, there's a possibility we don't get them all tonight. So you walk out through and just look at the map here. You come back to 2016 and you see over here, for example, Hillary Clinton won along the border here. It's a smaller county, but you just come back and look in 2020. The president's leading there right now. But again, 43% of the vote in. Just want to move around a little bit and see what the votes are. You come to Kent County. David mentioned this. This is Grand Rapids. It's red right now. Democrats think they can do some business here. Come back into 2016. You see it was 48 to 45. This is another one of those suburban battlegrounds we're looking at. The president won the suburbs narrowly 4 years ago. This is a textbook case of that, 48 to 45. Democrats think this time it will be different. In the vote so far, about half counted, 54 to 43. So we'll see. This one stays red throughout the night. That bodes well for the president in Michigan, but we have a long way to go. And it's the same story when you shift over here to Wisconsin, about 40% in. But I just want to come down to look at the major thing here. Milwaukee, you see Joe Biden with fewer than 100,000 votes. That tells us, Wolf, a lot of counting still to do. We all just need to be patient, relax, get through it.
We certainly will. We've got some more projections right now. All right, let's take a look at this. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win the state of Illinois, will win 20 electoral votes in the state of Illinois, beats Trump in Illinois. Trump beats Biden in Missouri, 10 electoral votes in Missouri. Trump wins in Missouri. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map right now. And here's where it stands on the road to 270 needed to win. Biden now has 118. Trump has 105. 118 to 105, 270, the magic number. The presidential race is moving to the west right now. We're counting down to 11 p.m. Eastern and the biggest electoral prize of the night. We're talking about California. The polls are about to close there, as well as in Idaho, Oregon, and Washington State. Those states have 78 electoral votes of the 270 needed to win. Joe Biden is counting on blue California to push him closer to 270. Let's get a key race alert right now. Let's start off in Michigan right now. 38% of the estimated vote is in Michigan. Trump still maintains his 240,000 vote lead over Biden, 54.7% to 43.4%. Lots of votes outstanding, though, in Michigan. In Pennsylvania, 37% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has 344,000 vote lead over Biden, 55.9% to 42.7%. In Wisconsin, 40% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a narrow lead, 21,000 vote lead over Biden, 49.9% to 48.4%. In Georgia, 59% of the estimated vote is in. Trump seems to have a pretty comfortable 372,000 vote lead over Biden, 55.4% to 43.4%. Let's take a look at some more states. We're getting some more key race alerts in Arizona right now. 75% of the vote is in, and Biden has a 208,000 vote lead over Trump in Arizona, 53.7% to 45%. In Minnesota, 38% of the vote is in. Biden seems to have a pretty comfortable 290, almost 291,000 vote lead over Trump in Minnesota. In Iowa right now, 42% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a 112,000 vote lead over Trump, 56.4% to 41.8%. Let's walk over, as we like to do, John King at the Magic Wall. We're watching these states. You're looking at counties over there, and you see what's going on. But go ahead, tell us what's on your
I was just doing some matching up to try to see where the president's overperforming, where he's underperforming, looking at different places. It's early, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, but just trying to get deep in to study a little bit. That's what I do when I get a little chance, just study, go into some states and take a look around and study. So where are we right now? If you look right here, so you got Illinois. You're adding, as I said, it's a reliably Democratic state, has been for a long time. But when you're doing your building blocks, you like the big ones, right? So you like to take those out. New York, Illinois, in the Joe Biden's column gets them up to 118. The president's at 105. But just, in the idea of just, you think about the bigs, right? We're not here. We have not called these states. But I just want to say, early on in the night, the Democrats are thinking, can we get Florida? Can we get Texas? Well, those are the two bigs and two normally reliably red bigs. We've not called these states. I'm just walking through. The president leads there right now. The president leads there right now. So that you just see what happens when you win the big ones. You see how quickly the math changes. So that's what's important from the perspective. And if the president holds that one as well, that gets you up. And if the president holds North Carolina, you start moving up, right? The bigger states, the double digits, if you will, big double digits here, 30 plus, 20 plus, 15, you know, you move it, then you're just moving up the math when you do the big ones. So that's what they're looking at in the Trump campaign right now. If we hold Texas, and they think they will, we hold Florida, they think they will, we're not done. We're not done. That's just what they think. North Carolina, they've pulled ahead. It's close. We have to count them still. Same with Ohio. We're still counting votes. But as you see that happen, you see the election day surge pull you ahead, you think it's going to continue. It's not guaranteed. But that's what they think. And you know what? You wouldn't get a lot of pushback in the Biden campaign. They're still hoping the votes come back. But as you start looking at the map now, you start thinking, OK, this is a more traditional map, which, again, gets us back to where we began or where we ended 4 years ago. Whoa, how'd I do that? That was good. You do the double sometimes. It gets you. There you go. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. You know, this is where this night now looks like a lot of us thought this would come down to this, and it certainly looks like it's going to again. Again, we're not done. You see Joe Biden with I think I'm going to glance over my shoulder. Yeah, still leading a little bit in Iowa. You see a lead in Montana. We don't expect these to hold up, but we'll see, right? You get surprised sometimes. But so right now on the map, you're looking at this would be the only flip right now. That's the only flip we see for Joe Biden to get him up. But, you know, it's easier to do it more quickly if you switch over here to the president's map. And so the flip we know, we think so far, we're not done, is this. We believe so far the president's holding down here, which gets you back again. Arizona would get Joe Biden, plus the Clinton states. Arizona gets Joe Biden to 243. Well, then how do you get to 270, right? You know, could get one here if you carry Maine, but then you need more. So if that gets you to 244, let's just say for the sake of argument, you get one of these. We're still waiting on 2 of those districts there. Let's just say you get one of them, right? So then you're looking here at 245. So what do you need, right? Do the math. You need 25. That would get you knocking on the door because that's 20, right? This is the state of these 3 states in the blue wall. That's the one the Trump campaign feels more confident about. That would be enough. Michigan and Wisconsin would get Joe Biden to 271 if he got these 2 congressional districts plus Arizona. The math gets interesting if the president can hold. Bring it out here. Sorry, I got to fill them all in, but that's okay. Just fill them all in and come back. President does that. You think one congressional district could decide an American presidential election? Doesn't happen that often, but it is possible. This is where, again, if the possibilities, the menu at the beginning of the night, maybe we get Florida. In a dream world, we get Texas. Maybe Ohio's competitive. We think we can get North Carolina. At the moment, none of that is there. We're not done. It's possible it comes back. At the moment, none of that is there. So now your numbers crunchers are getting into the tougher math, the more difficult math, and the different scenarios. And trust me, they're calling into that congressional district. They're calling into that congressional district. And they're calling in a fury into these because now we're into tense time in both campaigns. And
in those 3 states, those so-called blue wall states, right. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, you know, there's still plenty of outstanding votes there.
Plenty of votes, plenty of votes. And again, we're going to say this repeatedly, and some people at home might not like that we say it repeatedly.
And a lot of the early vote is outstanding, too, where Democrats will do well.
It is, which is why, as I come back over here, as you're watching the map throughout the night, in any election, again, we are 10:55. In any presidential election that's close, we're just getting started. We are just getting started. That would be the case 4 years ago, 2004, pick your close election. That's the case. This year is even more different because of the 3 different ways of voting and the different ways each state is handling that, right? The mail-in vote, the in-person early vote. And so here you go. We're going to look at it. 40% in. You see that big lead for Donald Trump. If you're a Republican, you have every reason to be happy about that. But you also need to have the context. You have to have the context. You come down here. This is Montgomery County, one of the big suburbs around Philadelphia, 29%. You go into Philadelphia, which is the biggest basket of votes, predominantly Democratic. Turnout here is absolutely key. We'll see if Democrats can deliver, but you're only 20% of the vote roughly there. You move up here, Bucks County. This is a more competitive suburban area, but you're still at 12% of the vote. Move out here, Chester County. This is where most of the votes are in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia and the suburbs that surround it, 30%. So you just have a long way to go. And we know, David Chalian told us earlier, a lot of the votes that are missing are the early votes, which we believe are disproportionately Democrat. And even if we were just counting for one set of votes, even if we were just waiting for all the votes counted today, what we have from this part of the state is so low that you just can't make conclusions. You just can't. We have to wait and see. And it looks good. You know, the map looks at first glance to Republicans, but we're just nowhere near the finish line. Nor are we in Michigan. 39% of the estimate, 54 to 43. You think that's a big number. If you remember how close this was 4 years ago, 10,000 votes, right? 10,000 votes decided this state 4 years ago. So it is just unrealistic. Even if the president's having a very good night, it's unrealistic that he's going to win Michigan by 238,000 votes. If he wins Michigan again, maybe it's by more than 10,000 votes, but it's not going to be by 238,000 votes. We just know that. So when you see that number, that's when you know this is the anomaly of 2020 and how we count votes, and we need to be patient.
Let's take a look at Arizona.
Let's go out west, because this would be, so far, this would be the flip. This would be a change. We're up to 75%, 208,000 vote lead, and some change there. Again, 54% to 45%. If you go back, not since Bill Clinton has a Democrat won this state, and in 2016, not a huge win by any means. This is why the Democrats wanted to compete this year. Arizona is trending demographically, and the Democrats think this year, demographics plus the suburban revolt is what gets you there. 1.2 million votes won it 4 years ago. If you come up here now, Joe Biden already has that, and we're still counting votes there. Again, turnout up across America in this election. That looks good. That doesn't mean we're done. We have to count them. Let's just look at Maricopa County, 77%. If this holds up, if the trend lines hold up, this is where 60% plus of your votes are. If you keep a 10-point margin in Maricopa County with high turnout like this, you're going to win the state of Arizona. But we're not done yet as we do it. But as we go through the race to 270, and you're Joe Biden, Donald Trump had 306 last time. You need to take away. It's simple. Just do the subtraction. And where do you get them? Arizona would be a start, an important start. It's protection, if you will. It's a safety blanket, but that's it. That's the name of the game. It was 4 years ago, and it sure looks like it's about to be for the rest of tonight and into tomorrow. That's the guess. That's the guess, Wolf, as you go through it. So I just come back out again. I just want to look at this one again, because getting a lot of texts and emails from Republicans and Democrats saying, whoa, what's happening in Virginia? Again, 153,000 votes ahead, 52 to 46. That's actually a smaller lead than we saw earlier in the night. I just want to keep coming in here, and we're still waiting. It's not that we could hop in the car and drive over there and be there in 15 minutes. But Fairfax County, Virginia, there's something going on. In Fairfax County, Virginia, we only have 28% of the vote, and it's been that way for a long time. This is a giant basket of Democratic votes. If you follow governor's races, if you follow Mark Warner's Senate campaign a couple of years ago, that's the way it's gone. All of a sudden, a big dump of votes come in, but we're going to keep watching that because it's interesting. Just want to check down here in North Carolina again. 50 to 49 when you round up, 94% in, 69,000 votes. Again, Republicans feel good about this, but we'll keep counting and see what happens in North Carolina. One more time, just want to look at normally the closest of all battlegrounds, 94% in Florida, 51-47 there in Florida. Again, you're looking at the map. There's a lot of red, including in places that the Biden campaign was hopeful it could turn blue. You see Iowa's blue right now. We're not sure if that will last. It's competitive, though. It's a fun one to watch as we go through the night. Still a lot of math to do, Wolf. A lot of anxiety in both campaigns right now.
Yeah, they're nervous on both sides. Voting is about to end in 4 states out west. That includes the biggest prize of all. We're talking about California. It has 55 of the 78 electoral votes at stake this hour. All right, we have some projections right now. CNN projects that Joe Biden will win the state of California. That's the biggest prize at the Electoral College. 55 electoral votes. Biden will win California, beats Trump in California. CNN also projects that Biden will win in Washington State, 12 electoral votes. He beats Trump in Washington State. CNN also projects Biden will win in the state of Oregon, 7 electoral votes there. Biden wins in Oregon right now. One projection for Donald Trump right now, CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of Wyoming. That's 3 electoral votes. In Idaho, too early to call, 4 electoral votes in Idaho. We cannot make a projection there. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map, see where it stands right now. Right now, Biden has a wide lead. He has 192 Electoral College votes. Trump has 108. 192 to 108. Let's get a key race alert in some of the battleground states where things stand. Let's start in Pennsylvania. 41% of the estimated vote is now in. Trump has seemingly a pretty comfortable 444,000 vote lead over Biden, 56.8% to 41.5%. In Michigan right now, 39% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has a significant lead there right now as well, 239,000 vote, but it's relatively early. 39% of the estimated vote is in, and the early vote, which skews Democratic, is not yet in. In Wisconsin, 42% of the vote is in. Look at how close it is. Trump has a 24,000, 25,000 vote lead over Biden, 50% to 48.3%, 10 electoral votes in Wisconsin. In Arizona, 75% of the vote is in, and Biden has a significant lead in Arizona, 208,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.7% to 45%, 11 electoral votes at stake over there. Let's go back to John King. All right, so right now, Biden has a significant 192 to 108 lead in the all-important electoral college battle.
And the West Coast, which, again, when I started doing this many years ago, this was competitive territory. Not anymore. Washington, Oregon, California, locks for the Democrats in presidential politics, and that's those are great building blocks, right? They're not competitive anymore. The only reasons Republicans got to California now is to raise money. 192 to 108. So now the question is, you need to get to 270. This is the hard part. I hate to say it this way, but it's easy for a Democrat to get to 192. It's just easy given you know Illinois, you know New York, you know California, you know Washington and Oregon are going to be on your side. So the question is, working off this map, let's work. Since you're now at 192, you try to get there. How do you get there working off this map? Well, that's a Clinton state, all right? Trump campaign's trying to flip it, but let's, for the sake of argument, assume it stays Democratic. We'll watch and we'll count as we go. That was a Trump state. Joe Biden is leading right now there. If it holds that way, out here, look at this, Colorado, New Mexico, the West Coast will be good to the Democrats in the Southwest if this happens. So that would get you to 209. So then you come this way, you're looking at the map, right? Where are the Clinton states? That was a Clinton state, right? So you think that's going to happen for you. And you keep looking at the map here. Virginia, which is really interesting right now, it is still red. You just assume, and we'll see if it's a change. If it's that kind of a night, it's that kind of a night. But you assume that one's going to come back into the fold, and they're just waiting for Democratic votes to come in. They're having a problem in a county or something. That gets you there. Then you come up to Maine, and you assume if you're the Biden campaign, you're going to win the whole thing. We need to see this. Maine does it by congressional district. There's one of them that President Trump carried 4 years ago. The Democrats believe they're going to carry that state. They believed a few other things about tonight, so we'll see what happens as we go through. But let's, for the sake of argument, give it to them. So then you're up to 236, right? Maybe they get one in Nebraska. Let's just leave that off the table right now. Let's just wait and see how you play. So you're at 236, right? There's 246. That's 262. That's 262. So you're looking at this map. And where do I get it, right? Where do I get it? Well, that's the easiest one. And we still don't have, I didn't get Rhode Island on this map. So let me come in here. There we go. So you get Rhode Island. That would get you 286, but that's with Pennsylvania. That's with Pennsylvania. You bring Pennsylvania back off the map, you're at 266. This is where you get close here, right? This is where you get close here. We're going to keep going out to the west, and we do that. That gets you to 270. So could it be, in a race against Donald Trump, wouldn't it be something if Barack Obama's birth state is the one that puts you over the top? That would be interesting if you go that way there. But so you have Hawaii, you have Nevada and Colorado. We're going to watch. So this is interesting. So you don't need Pennsylvania if you're Joe Biden now, but now you're in this different mood in Biden headquarters. You came into the night thinking you had all this great opportunity. Maybe some of these will come back. But if they don't, you're thinking, okay, we better win that congressional district. We absolutely better win that one. And then we're going to fight it out up in here. And again, if you get Pennsylvania, then stop the conversation. But we might be a couple days on this one. If you don't get Pennsylvania, you're in a scratch and claw mode now, as opposed to early in the night where you thought you might have had a buffet of opportunity.
Let's take a closer look at Arizona and Pennsylvania.
Let me do that and cross over again when we come back in here. And let's start in Arizona. We'll go west to east this time. And again, this one has held up pretty consistently, but we've also been waiting for a little bit. Sometimes you get votes in spurts. Sometimes you have long pauses. We're at 75% right now. That's 8 points, 9 points if you round up right there. That's a pretty healthy lead. Most of it's coming from here in terms of the vote count. You see, just in Maricopa County, Joe Biden approaching 800,000 votes, 10-point, almost a 10, just shy of a 10-point race in Maricopa County. That's 60% of the vote in the state. Then you come down to Pima County. That's another 15% of it. And again, that's not even close. And so every indication here is, we still have votes to count, but every indication here is that Arizona is going to flip to blue. And that makes you happy in the Biden campaign. So then you come back this way a little bit. I just want to check in on Virginia again just to see. We're up to 58%. It is getting closer, but still, we're waiting. And here's your anomaly. Fairfax has been at 28% for a long time. I'll check in with our decision team and our desk team in a little bit to see where that is. Some of these other places, Loudoun County, Joe Biden holding that there. You come over Fairfax County, we're waiting. Northern Virginia, Arlington. So it's Fairfax. Fairfax is the biggest basket of Democratic votes we're missing. I just want to check down here in Southeast Virginia. See Chesapeake area here, 60% of the vote in there. So we're missing some votes in Democratic areas that could flip that. But if you're in the Biden campaign, you're getting a little bit nervous about that, even though your data and your math tell you should be okay. But at this point of the night, you'd like it to change. And again, we're just waiting on these three, and this is the patience.
It'll take some time, and all three of those are. We got a key race alert right now. I want to go to Nebraska right now, the 2nd congressional district. There, 57% of the vote is in. Biden is ahead by some 16,000 votes, 53.4% to 44.8% for Trump. John, this is one electoral vote potentially in Nebraska if Biden can hold on.
So let me come back over here if Biden can hold on. So we're waiting. Nebraska and Maine do their congressional votes by. Let me pull it out like this. Nebraska and Maine do their votes by congressional district, their electoral college votes. So again, especially now, if you're in the Biden campaign and you're thinking, we might not get Florida, we might not get Georgia, we might not get North Carolina. Looks like our dreams of Texas are not going to happen this year. Closer, but close doesn't count. It doesn't get you the electoral votes. If you're at this point in the campaign where normally you think, well, what's one? Guess what? One can matter. And so, again, in this scenario, this is a scenario on the board here, so let me just take these away, right? You know, if you can hold this, you're moving closer, right? You're moving closer. That's assuming Virginia flips back, and that's assuming you hold Arizona and Nevada stays. So these are just, that would be a change. Donald Trump carried that, and that would be a change. Trump carried that. So that's what you're looking to do. Trump had 306 last time. If you're Biden, you have to subtract from that to get him down below 270. That's one, and that's progress, but these are the big ones. These are the big ones. Again, when you're in the tight part of the campaign, if you think you're going to have that close of a race, and it sure looks like we are, then every one counts. And so this includes the main one up here. So the math gets really interesting. And again, if you can do this, just forget about it. Because if you're doing this, you're most likely doing that, and you're probably doing that. We always knew. Joe Biden said, a lot of Democrats said, focus on the Sun Belt. Joe Biden said, no, I'm going to start here, and then maybe I'll expand. If he can do this, we're going to spend a lot of time, and these ones may take, some of them, again, we may be into tomorrow and beyond. At the moment, we don't know that, though. At the moment, these are to be decided, and that would push, and again, if you come at this from a Republican perspective, I did Joe Biden's math to get him up. Donald Trump's leading here. He's leading here. He's leading here. We expect him to win here. That's his. This one's interesting. We expect him to get this, and these normally would be Trump states out here. Alaska. So again, we're open to being surprised, but if it plays out in a traditional map, that's where we're going to be. That's where we'll be as we go to the West Coast, somewhere in that ballpark. This is not an exact science, but somewhere in that ballpark, looking at Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and maybe Iowa, and the one more congressional district there. That's the way the map looks right now, that we're going to have that tense. And we'll see. Sometime, again, we've had some surprises so far, but we haven't had many flips. We've had some tension. We've had back and forth. And we'll see how it goes. Right now, the only flip on the board is Arizona, maybe that congressional district. We're going to count votes. And again, it's fun for us. It's tense. If you're in the campaign headquarters right now, it is really tense.
Both campaigns, they're very, very nervous right now. But this election is basically different because there's so much early voting that occurred, especially in those blue wall 3 states. And that apparently that early vote, which skews Democratic, has not really been counted yet.
No, and so that's the issue. And I would switch over. And I switch this back. We go through these hypotheticals. It's not to alarm you at home. We go through them. I like to switch it back at the end. So just if you do see it again, you understand where we are, not where we might be. This is where we are in terms of votes. And everything here, this is all real. It's just some of it's not contextual yet because we're waiting. We have pieces of votes, but we're missing pieces of vote. And again, at this point in the night, I don't think a lot of people thought Donald Trump would be leading in the popular vote, but we have a long way to go. But it's significant, 51% to 47%. He's 3 million votes ahead. He's 3 million votes ahead. We don't have any votes from California, the nation's most populous state. So that's going to change. We know that without a doubt as the West Coast comes in. We know that without a doubt. But we also know, Pennsylvania is not a small state either, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we have not much in so far. 1.6 to 1.2, just to go back in time. And remember, 2.9, 2.9. We have a long way to go, and turnout is higher this time, right? So this is just shy, this is just shy of 6. You add in, it's just shy of 6 million, and we're not there. We're just not there. And so if you're looking at the map as a Republican, you're grateful that it's red, but it's really early on. We got a long way to go. And again, I'm going to be a broken record here, but we're looking at Northampton County here, maybe 40% of the vote, a little shy of that. You come down here to Bucks County, key suburb just outside of Philadelphia. This is the more conservative of the suburbs in the call around Philadelphia. 12% of the vote, maybe. You come down to Montgomery County, again, big suburban area, absolutely critical to the Democrats. So you see that Trump lead right now, but We haven't counted most of the votes in Montgomery County. We haven't counted most of the votes in Chester County. We haven't counted most of the votes in Delaware County. And the biggest basket of them all, Philadelphia City, and then Philadelphia County around it, the suburbs around it. It's going to be overwhelmingly Democratic, and we haven't counted hardly any of it.
Only 22% of the vote.
We haven't, yeah, right.
Philadelphia County is in.
Yeah, it's like you're looking at a football game and just saying, you know, okay, first quarter, end it. It's not the way it works.
I want to check in with Pamela Brown. She's getting some new information on what's going on in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you're talking about Philadelphia right there, and it's slow going through the influx of mail-in ballots. They've gone through around 76,000 mail-in ballots, and they have a lot more to go. In total, they have around 350,000 to get to. That's according to the city commissioner there. It's the same story over in Allegheny County. That, of course, is another big county there that has Pittsburgh, the home of Pittsburgh. They also have 350,000 mail-in ballots to get through. And in the Philadelphia suburbs alone, you have more than 500,000 mail-in ballots to get to. So I think, you know, as we're looking at this, as we're looking at the numbers slowly coming in there in Pennsylvania, it is keeping us on the edge of our seats, especially in Philadelphia, that Democratic stronghold, John King, where we had 350,000 mail-in ballots they're going through. Right now, though, like I said, they've only gone through 76,000. That is behind schedule than what they thought. They thought by around 8 p.m. Eastern time, they would have 100,000 counted. So they're behind schedule a little bit there. And I'm told by officials they're going to be working through the night trying to quickly tabulate the influx of mail-in ballots that they got there in Pennsylvania. Remember, they just started this morning opening up those ballots. They were way behind compared to other states. They did not get a head start. And Pennsylvania is a state that does not have a history of counting absentee ballots. In Allegheny County, again, where Pittsburgh is, you have 350,000 ballots that they're having to get through there. And I'm told by officials, again, in Allegheny County, they're going to be working through the night to try to get everything tabulated. But one person I spoke to said, look, this is going to keep us in suspense because they just have to work through it through the night, and we may not have a better idea in terms of the total tabulation for those mail-in ballots for a bit, John.
What did we get on the phone from Iowa several years ago, Enid? And we may have to do that again. Look, this is where it gets interesting in the sense that the question is, will everybody have patience? And by everybody, I mean the American people, the people who live in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the candidates for president, because you know this. Look, so they have all these mail-in ballots. This is Allegheny County. I'll get rid of the numbers here just to remind you. So look, Joe Biden's leading right now at 98,000 votes. The president has 23,000 votes. It's just not, I mean, it's real in the sense that these are real votes, but it's just not contextual in the sense that we know it's a higher turnout election than 4 years ago, and Hillary Clinton won this county with 367,000 votes. So when you see right now Joe Biden leading at 98,000 votes, we are in the early chapter of a very big book because it's such a big state. And so that's the key point. The challenge is, do we get more in the next hour? How long does this take? What do we start to get? Will we hear from the Secretary of State about this is going to go into tomorrow? We already know there were 6 or 8 counties that said they wouldn't even start counting the mail-in ballots to tomorrow. The Secretary of State was leaning on them to get them to try to start today if they weren't overwhelmed on Election Day. And remember, Pam just mentioned Philadelphia. We don't have to. This is not conjecture because we have the words of the President of the United States, who has spent the last couple of days saying he believes there's cheating and there's fraud in Philadelphia. The question is, many of his advisors have been urging him, stay off Twitter, stop talking about this, let this play out. But does the president lose patience as this night goes on?
We're told that in Pennsylvania, John, more than 1 million mail-in ballots, Pamela Brown was telling us, more than 1 million have not yet been counted.
Right, so more than 1 million. So you come back again, you come back out and you see 1.7 to 1.3, 370,000 vote lead, 373,000 vote lead, but you know more than 1 million. Again, more than 1 million have not been counted. So this is real, but it's just now. Again, if it's a baseball game, we're in the 2nd or the 3rd inning at best. Right? If it's a football game, we're in an early quarter. Pick your sport. We're early in the game. You always want to build a lead. You'd rather be leading than behind, but it's not contextual. I keep wanting to say it's not real. It is real. These are real votes. They're actual votes. So if I say that, I don't mean it that way. I mean, these are real, but they're not. We just don't have the full picture. Again, I just want to show you these counties. This is look. Think about the places where we are close to the finish line. In every one of those states, we're showing you turnout is higher now than it was 4 years ago. Turnout is higher now than it was 4 years ago. Well, look at this: 25,000 votes. 167,000 votes to win the county 4 years ago, and it was higher turnout now. So you're at 25,000 votes. We're nowhere near done. We're just getting started. Move over here to Montgomery County. 4 years ago, this is Joe Biden right now at 110. 4 years ago, 256,000 to win the county, and we know turnout is up now. So 256,000 then, 110,000 now. We have a long way to go. We're in the early count here in Montgomery County. Chester County, again, Joe Biden with 58,000 votes and 56%. Well, Hillary Clinton won this last time with nearly 100,000, right? 80,000 plus more votes. We are in the early count in Chester County. You move down here, that goes into Delaware. Let me come back into Pennsylvania and come into Philadelphia. 584,000 votes for Secretary Clinton in Philadelphia 4 years ago. This is one of the places they felt they did a good job on turnout. 585 say. Joe Biden has 209,000 votes in Philadelphia right now. So what we have is a beginning, but we're so early in this race right now, so early in this race that when you pull this out and you see it red and you see what looks like a 12-point lead for the President of the United States, in the votes counted so far, the President of the United States has a 12-point lead. But there are more than 1 million, even more than that, I would conjecture, just mail-in ballots, more than 1 million. Other ballots to be counted of people casted their votes today. We have a long way to go in Pennsylvania, Wolf, and a few others.
We'll be patient. We'll watch Pennsylvania closely. We have another projection right now. CNN projects that President Trump will win. The state of Mississippi, beats Biden in Mississippi, wins 6 electoral votes in Mississippi. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map right now. So with that, Biden still has 192 Electoral College votes. Trump now has 114 Electoral College votes. 270, the number you need. Let's get a key race alert right now in Minnesota. Let's start. 46% of the vote is in, almost half. Biden has a 264,000 vote lead over Trump, 57.3% to 40% in Minnesota, 10 electoral votes there. In Iowa right now, 59% of the estimated vote is in. Very close. Biden's lead is almost 40,000 over Trump, 50.9% to 47.3%, 6 electoral votes in Iowa right now. Let's go back to John King as we're watching this. So the count continues, 192. We're watching this race between Trump and Biden, 192 to 114.
Right, 192 to 114. And again, right now, there's nothing on this map that tells it's a flip, nothing on the map that would be a wow. And yet we do know, let's go back. I just want to go back to the Trump map. It's just to take us where we are in the sense that we have nothing yet that we flip. But we do believe at least Joe Biden is leading there. That's a potential, right? So you keep looking at this map. That will get Donald Trump from his 2016 map down to 295. So then you go from there. I think we're in a world right now, Wolf, where I'm just going to take these away, right? Because we're in such an early state in all of them, we just take these away. And so if nothing else changed, right, if the president holds Florida, we haven't called that yet, it's close, but he's ahead. If the president holds North Carolina, same deal. We haven't called it yet, the president's ahead. If the president holds Ohio. Iowa, let me pull out here and look at the map. I just want to take a peek. Iowa is still blue, but I just want to go over and take a look at it here. 59%. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. That would be interesting if that one switched. But at the moment, we'll just leave it here until we know otherwise. We'll leave it here. So here's where you get. Again, we have the congressional district here and the congressional district here that could change the math a little bit. But if you take these off the board, and if Joe Biden can't win Ohio, we haven't called it yet. We have to wait. We're waiting on votes and everything like. You're just looking for flips. So what happens if we're waiting on these states because they're having normal delays plus additional delays counting their votes? We could get to a point in a few hours when we start to fill in some of the ones that are left. We're somewhere in this ballpark, and we're fighting it out over these states.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing to watch. Right. Everybody's got to be patient, though, and let everyone count the votes as they should. That's what's critically important.
It is critical, and so we're going to get to a point. I'm going to shift maps again. We're going to get to a point again. So we're looking at 11:20. We knew this was going to take time. The Secretary of State in all 3 of these states have told us, the chief election official here, Secretary of State here and here, have told us this is going to take time. Please be patient because of the difference between mail-in voting, in-person early voting, and then the election day surge. The priority on election day is to deal with the people in the line, to deal with the coronavirus safety concerns, for example, to deal with ballot integrity and ballot security when you have moving parts. Then you have to count all those mail-in votes. And so you see red, again, if you're a Republican and you're looking at this map, this is a handstand map, but we're just not there yet. Again, these are real leads, but we're just nowhere near done. And I'm going to keep going through them just to see if the numbers change at all. Delaware County, 16%. Philadelphia County up to 33%. We're at 22% more. And you see the math starting to go up there, but still 33%. And you see 209,000. So you've got at least 300,000 plus. If it's a higher turnout election, maybe 400,000 more votes to win. So we're going to have to watch as this one plays out here. And again, you come into the counties around it. in Bucks County. That's 2016. Let me come back here to 2020. Still at 12%. Again, it's frustrating to people who want to know, especially when you get to this point where if you're a Republican, you think the president's going to hold Florida, hold North Carolina, and hold Ohio. We're not sure about that yet. But if you're looking at the numbers right now, that's what you think. If you're a Republican, you won't get too much of an argument from many Democrats until they see more evidence, until they see something change. They're not going to argue with you. So if you're a Republican and you're looking at that, you're thinking, okay, here we go again. And if we're defying the odds here, some people thought we were going to lose Florida. Doesn't look like we will. Some people thought we were going to lose North Carolina. Doesn't look like we will. The Republican starts to think, okay, well, then we're going to do it here again, too. But we just don't know that. We just don't know that. And because of the early counts, I just want to come back out here again. Pam mentioned Allegheny County waiting on a lot of votes. We're at 17%. So just focus. You can look at that or you can look up here. Again, Joe Biden has 98,000 votes in Allegheny County right now. Hillary Clinton carried it 4 years ago with 367,000 votes. This is a higher turnout election. The winner of this county is going to be north of that number, right? Most likely north of that number, at least equal to that number, and we're not even close. And so we just have to be patient and wait it out. That's Pennsylvania. We'll just pull it back and come back in. We'll move over to Michigan. We'll just do the same experiment, right? You look at Macomb County. Let's start in a place where the president is leading right now. That would be impressive. If the president can keep that lead in Macomb County, he'd be in pretty strong shape in Michigan. 143,000 right now. We go back in time, 224,000. This is a higher turnout election. We expect everywhere, at least close to 2016. We don't expect any place really, especially an important battleground place, to be below 2016. So 224,000 votes 4 years ago, 143,000 votes now. What does that tell you? It tells you we have to wait and we have to keep counting. Way more votes down here. Wayne County, Joe Biden is ahead right now with 147,000 votes. You go back in time, Hillary Clinton won it. Again, look at the difference. 147,000 votes, almost 520,000 votes. What does that tell you? It just tells you they have a lot of votes to count in Wayne County, in Macomb County, in Kent County, in other places in Michigan. And we're just going to have to be patient. And the same story, Wolf, we can go through it if you want, over in Milwaukee. I'll just bring up, in Wisconsin, excuse me. You just bring up Milwaukee. Hillary Clinton gets 288,000 votes right now. We're at 122,000 for Joe Biden. We're in, pick your sports. We're in the early innings, and
so
we're just going to have to wait.
Basically, it looks like those three states are going to decide who's going to be the next president of the United States. Unless we get a dramatic shift, yes. I mean, we sort of knew that coming in. The Democrats did believe, and the polls said they had an opportunity. Opportunity is not winning. You have an opportunity to win states. You have to execute. I think one of the things we're seeing so far, and you have to tip your hat to the president worked hard in the final days of the campaign. The president staged rallies all around the country, and it seems that his rallies actually generated a high election day turnout, which is what they absolutely needed. Is it high enough? We're not there yet. But you do know that some of these states have moved in the president's direction. Again, we're up to 94% in Florida. Can you overcome 381,000 votes when you're this far up? Unlikely, not impossible. We're waiting to see. And again, because of the differences of this year and the different mix of votes, our people are working extra hard, and so are all these election officials. Florida, they were quick, right? The early count was very quick in Florida. We're going to get to the finish line. Just to pop in and look at a place, you're at 95%, right? In a place that's voting Democratic. So if you're Joe Biden, where can you get more votes? Again, the disappointment in the Democratic Party tonight is right here. Not only at the presidential level, but at the House level as well. Some pain in Miami-Dade County. It looks like we're not at the finish line yet, but you see 53% right there. You see 63% right there. That tells you all you need to know about that. So you just come back out on the map. And again, one more real quick. North Carolina, 74,000 votes at 95%, 50 to 49. It's very close. But again, a state the president barnstormed at the end of the campaign. Looks like he generated a lot of election day turnout. Is it enough? We're not quite there yet. But if you're looking at the map right now, again, we'll get to the finish line soon enough. Some places, maybe not soon enough for the people watching at home. You have to tip your hat to the president for moving the needle in some of these states, see if it's enough to get him to the finish line. And yes, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, the three most spoken words in presidential politics in the last 4 years, and again tonight. We'll be patient. Let's check in with Dana Bash. She's got an update on the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. What are you learning, Dana?
We have some projections to make, Wolf, and that starts with Alabama. CNN can project that Republicans pick up a seat there. Tommy Tuberville will go on to be the to first term in the Senate there, beating Doug Jones, a Democrat. And in South Carolina, this is one of the most watched races in the country. Senator Lindsey Graham, CNN can project, is going on to win re-election, defeating an incredibly well-funded Democratic challenger. And in Georgia, this is one of two races we're watching tonight. This is the special election. CNN can project that this will go to a runoff. In the state of Georgia, a candidate needs 50% in order to win outright. That has not happened. So Democrat Raphael Warnock and Kelly Loeffler, who is the incumbent appointed Republican, will go on to that runoff in January. Now let's look at some of the tight races we are watching in the battlegrounds for the balance of power. Arizona. The Democratic challenger, Mark Kelly, is ahead by more than 200,000 votes at 55.1%. The incumbent Republican, Martha McSally, is at 44.9%. 75% of the estimated vote is in Arizona. Now let's go on to Iowa. The Democratic challenger is ahead there as well. Teresa Greenfield, it's very, very tight, 599 votes only. She's at 48.6%. The incumbent Republican, Joni Ernst, at 48.5%. And in Montana, the Democratic challenger is ahead. They're very early. Steve Bullock, the former, or the governor, I should say, is ahead by about 12,000 votes. So let's look at what this all means right now. 3 Democrats are leading in Republican Senate seats. Democrats are back to needing 4 seats to pick up in order to flip the Senate. And Democrats have 42 seats. Republicans have 42 seats, and 16 seats remain to be called tonight. Wolf.
So important what's happening in the Senate. All right, thanks very much, Dana. Let's get a key race alert right now. Let's see where things stand. Let's start off in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. 46% of the vote is in. Trump has a 436,000 vote lead over Biden, 56% to 42%. In Wisconsin, more than half of the vote is in, 53%. Trump has an 81,000 vote lead over Biden. It's relatively close, 51.3% to 47%. In Michigan right now, 44% of the vote is in. Trump still has a lead of about 274,000 votes over Biden, 54.5% to 43.6%. Let's go back to Jake. Jake, these 3 states potentially could hold the key to who's going to be the next president.
That's right. We're all looking at the blue wall. It was a blue wall until 2016 when Donald Trump smashed it. Now, of course, Joe Biden hoping to rebuild it. So let's go check in with our correspondents who are in those 3 states. Let's start with Miguel Marquez, who is in Detroit, Michigan, where we're told a turnout is higher than it has ever been. Miguel, what can you tell us about the votes that are outstanding? We are waiting to hear how Michigan voted this election season.
Yeah, we know a couple of things. We know that the vote in Detroit, the biggest sort of Democratic stronghold, they are expecting between 53 and 55% of voters to turn out in this election. That doesn't sound like a very high turnout, but when you consider that Donald Trump won Michigan by 10,704 votes back in 2016, that could be a critical difference. Also, across the entire state, they are expecting a record turnout across the entire state. It is not clear how that will affect the vote count for either candidate. We also know that they are still counting. This is a receiving board where the Detroit Lions play, Ford Field, where they are going to receive votes, day of votes all day long. Those absentee ballots, they are still being counted as well. The city of Detroit getting through a huge tranche of those. We should be seeing some of those votes coming in very soon as well. So votes being counted in Michigan. In the hours ahead, we expect to see much more vote come in. And rather than taking 3 days for the vote to be finalized here, or at least an unofficial result, they believe that in the next 24 hours or so, we will have an unofficial result of who will win Michigan.
All right, Miguel Marquez in Michigan, thank you so much. Let us turn a little bit east to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where we find Sarah Murray. Sarah, there are millions of votes that were cast early in Pennsylvania. With the vote right now in Pennsylvania has Donald Trump 1.8 million, Joe Biden 1.4 million, but there's still more than half the ballots waiting to be counted. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, Jake, look, there is a lot of outstanding vote here in the Keystone State, and this is not going to be a process that moves particularly fast. That's what election officials have been warning us about. We know there are a lot of these big counties, Philadelphia County, Bucks County, Chester County. They are going to be counting all night long, and these are not places that have really experienced any issues. They're not having any problems. It just takes a while. And the Secretary of State just wrapped up a press conference here. She said, essentially, we need to stay patient. You also need to be prepared for these vote totals to kind of come through overnight in fits and starts, right? They've been reporting day of totals, then they've been going through, opening more ballots, removing those from the inner envelope, putting them through the scanner, and then uploading bunches at a time. So just as you pointed out, this is going to come in fits and starts throughout the night. We may know by tomorrow morning a little bit something more. It may take a while. You know, the Secretary of State was saying these counties are working as fast as they can and as hard as they can. We know, like I said, a lot of these places are working overnight. It is just going to take a while, and it is the first time that Pennsylvania has had mail-in ballots to this capacity. And remember, they couldn't start opening them until 7 a.m. this morning.
All right, Sarah Murray in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Let's go to Bill Weir, one of Wisconsin's favorite sons, who is in Madison. Bill, tell us about turnout in Wisconsin. We're waiting to hear who the Badger State picked to be their president.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a record turnout like most of the rest of the country, Jake, but it is still very early. In fact, some of the election officials in Milwaukee say they won't have their final numbers in until 5 a.m. And that, of course, will be is expected to be a huge blue boost for President or Vice President Biden when those numbers come in. Just looking at the wow counties around Milwaukee, Waukesha, Ozaukee, Washington County, a little bit better than they were 4 years ago for the Democrats. Trump is still leading in those. He won Fond du Lac County a little bit better than he did 4 years ago. But I've been texting with the head of the Milwaukee Democrats, who said he thinks feels like stronger than expected in the Milwaukee suburbs for them, even though Trump is winning those right now. Possibly softer turnout in Milwaukee, they think. Blowout in Madison, likely a red mirage, blue shift kind of night. They think they're shaving those margins around Milwaukee, that they aren't as wide as they were for Hillary Clinton. But as right behind me, we're waiting as all of the wards here in Madison expect to deliver all their ballots here to the election supervisor here. So it's going to be a long night in America's Dairyland, Jake.
All right, Bill Weir, thank you so much. We'll check in with you in a little bit, and let's talk about this. I do feel like we've been saying for a long time that, A, anything could happen. This is a very competitive race, and B, that it's really going to come down to these 3 states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and C, that we're not going to probably know who won those states because of all the early vote the night of election night. And all of that is happening, and yet it still feels like people out there didn't hear us when we were telling them that in the previous week.
And well, I think people hear what they want to hear or need to hear at any given moment, understandably, given how tense the country is. I'll add one state to what you just said, which is Arizona, which also could be a tipping state, depending on how it goes, given what we're seeing so far. The thing to keep in mind is, and some of our reporters mentioned this, is that what we're seeing now is not including the early vote. And the early vote is the one that Democrats feel the most confident about because they encourage their voters to go and vote early. And so that is the missing piece of these vote totals that we just haven't seen yet, which is a really, really key piece because it could change the dynamic abruptly. And I'm talking about early vote in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, those 3 blue wall states.
We just can't draw any conclusions right now about what's going on up there. And even Arizona is still unknown. But even if we did know Arizona, we would still need to wait on those states to count all of their votes to really get a clear sense of what is going on. So yeah, we're asking for patience, but I also think that it's important for people to recognize that this is kind of the opposite of what we were seeing earlier in the night when we were getting a lot of mail votes from states like Florida, and it was looking okay for Biden. Now we're getting a lot of election day votes from those states, and those are going to benefit Trump. We just have to wait and see. We can't even say really what is happening in some of these counties because the percentage of the vote is so low, you can't draw any real conclusions.
And just to underscore what we're all saying is the early votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, and especially Pennsylvania are the votes that we expected to be counted last.
Right.
Particularly in Pennsylvania, because that's the law for some reason in Pennsylvania. And so,
well, the Democrats tried to change it.
They did.
And the Republicans in the legislature wouldn't let them for whatever reason.
Well, I think we know the reason.
Well, whatever it is, that's the reason. They're counting now. It takes a long time. I don't know if this feels like 2016 when Donald Trump pulled this huge upset and surprised everybody, or it feels like 2018 where Democrats actually had a really good night. It just took longer than a night.
Jake, I want to go back to something that you said at the beginning of the night, and you keep saying, which is, it feels like 2020 because, meaning it's not unlike any other year, because going into tonight, in most of these battleground states, the candidates were within the margin of error.
Right.
Yeah.
That, by definition, means it is a close race in all of these states, and that is what we are seeing play out right now.
And it's a divided country. It's a divided country. It's a close election.
One thing that we can say, based on how close the race is in some of the places that Donald Trump was really at risk of losing, is that the Republicans really delivered in the sense that they were able to keep those races close and in their direction as we speak right now. We're looking at a map in which a lot of states are red because they're trending red, and they need to stay that way. And for President Trump, that is a really important thing, because we would be having a completely different conversation tonight if we were talking about Joe Biden actually expanding the map in a serious way early on in the night.
Yeah. Wolf, back to you.
All right, guys, thank you. Let's get a key race alert right now. Let's start off in the 2nd Congressional District in Nebraska. One electoral vote is at stake. 57% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a 16,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.4% to 44.8%. In Arizona, a lot more of the vote is in. 75% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has an impressive 203,000 vote lead over Trump, 53.5% to 45.1%. In Minnesota right now, 61% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has a 220,000 vote lead over Trump there as well, 54.3% to 43.6%. There's more states. Let's continue the key race alert right now. In Ohio right now, 88% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has an impressive 434,000 vote lead over Biden in Ohio, 53.2% to 45.3%. In North Carolina right now, 95% of the vote is in. Relatively close, only a 75,000 vote Trump lead over Biden, 50% for Trump to 48.7% for Biden. In Iowa right now, 70% of the vote is in, very close, only a 31,000 vote lead for Trump over Biden, 50.3% to 47.8%. Let's go back to John King at the Magic Wall. So close in some of these states, there's still a lot of outstanding votes to be counted.
Yeah, and we're going to wait late into the night for some of them, we're told. And again, some grace to the local election officials because they have to deal with this wild and different 2020 mail-in voting, in-person early voting, election day voting. However, in some of these states, as you go through them, number one, again, Pennsylvania, we're still waiting. 50% estimate. We're going to be waiting on that one for a while. Michigan, you pull it out. Trump lead right now. But again, it's just not contextual in the sense that you come down here, Wayne County, 147,000 votes right now. That's Detroit and the suburbs around it. Hillary Clinton was at 520,000, 519,000 4 years ago. So it's just a reminder to our viewers that these states are counting more slowly because of the complexities of the 2020 election, and it's going to take time. It may well take into the morning. If that's the case, we'll keep counting and we'll stay up all night and watch it play out. Wisconsin, the same thing. So again, if you lived through 2016 and you're a Republican, you're looking at this map and you're saying that looks great. It does look great. It's just not complete, and it's nowhere near complete. Nowhere near complete. So we just need to see. We need to keep counting votes. So then the other anomaly on the map, if you will, there are two things that look different compared to 2016. One of them is the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I'm going to zoom in again, Fairfax County right here. This has been this way for some time. This has been this way for some time, stuck at 28% for the largest county in the state. You would think, I know it's a difficult year, you would think the largest county in the Commonwealth of Virginia could do a better job than that, 28% at this point of the night.
Hold on one moment, John.
Sure.
Pamela Brown's got some reporting on what's going on in Virginia.
Yeah, exactly. We're finding out in Fairfax, Virginia, it is slow going, finding out the results there. In fact, we're finding out that they will have their roughly 400,000 absentee ballots results in the next couple of hours, likely before 1 a.m. So far, only around 28% is reported there in Fairfax County in Virginia, and a very small portion of that is Democratic. So we have that going on there. And then you look over in Georgia. It is slow going, John. If you go over to Georgia and some of these counties there, you have Gwinnett County only 29% in. DeKalb, we have only 24% in. And then Fulton has also been slow going. They were delayed because of a pipe that burst earlier. And so they still have 48,000 absentee ballots to go through. They had 2 weeks to process these ballots, but it is slow going there in Georgia. And then we also know, of course, John, in Pennsylvania, more than 1 million outstanding absentee ballots for officials to go through in the Democratic areas there of Pennsylvania. I'm talking about Philadelphia. I'm talking about the suburbs of Philadelphia and Allegheny. And that's not counting these 9 counties, the smaller counties that are waiting until tomorrow to start counting those absentee ballots. So as this picture comes together of what's happening, we really are in suspense there in Pennsylvania.
That's a lot. It's again, you just look at the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, big state, 20 electoral votes, 2 million to 1.5 million, and you think that's a lot of votes. Just go back in time to Pam's point about how many votes still need to be counted. 2.9, and we expect higher turnout this time. Pam mentioned the 9 counties, at least 6 of those, I think maybe all 9, but at least 6 or 7 won by Trump. They've just decided they knew they were going to be overwhelmed today. They're not going to count those votes until tomorrow. So you look at that there. I want to pop back to what Pam said in Georgia, because again, if you're in the Biden campaign right now, you're looking at this map and you're thinking all of the opportunities we thought we had might be slipping away, meaning states that we could flip, like Florida, like North Carolina, like Georgia. There are 2 Senate races in Georgia as well. So I just want to go to the point Pam was making and just see what are we looking at, right? So let's come back out first. You look at statewide, a 211,141 vote lead. So you come into the highest population center and you say, okay, well, they're missing a lot of ballots here. Not missing, but they haven't counted a lot of ballots here. So you look at Fulton County, 297,000 there. Let's just see where we are, 196. So Joe Biden is 100,000 votes behind where Hillary Clinton was there. It's supposed to be a more high turnout election, so maybe there's more votes there. That's about 100,000 there. Pam mentioned Gwinnett County, come over here. You see 174,000 for Biden now. You go back, 176. So he's ahead of Hillary Clinton already there with still some votes to be counted. The question you're asking, this is the reason I'm going through this, is it at all possible? When you look at the Donald Trump lead right now, when you go through these areas and you move over here, we had that. We come here again, 81,000 votes. There's a lot of votes to be done here. 81,000 is where Joe Biden is now. You go back in time, 251,000. So you are looking at giant chunks of votes in those counties. You come back out, you see the president's lead is 211,000. When you have that many votes missing from DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Fulton, there's no reason at all for Democrats to give up. There's votes to be counted. The question is, can you win? As those votes are counted, what's your margin? What is your margin? So again, you keep it on the board. If you look at it right now, as a Democrat, you're disappointed. But when you do the math and figure out what's out there, this is why patience is going to be so important. And again, it's the very same situation. Pam mentioned more than 1 million votes here. They're just nowhere near. This is 2016. You come back up to 2020. They're just nowhere near the same numbers, right? You just saw the 2016 numbers. And so patience is what's required here. And again, we heard the president repeatedly at the end of the campaign saying we should be able to count the votes on election night. That's it. I'm done. It's just not the way it works, which is why Sarah Murray, in the report saying the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania just came out, explained the process. That's really the challenge now. For the election officials in these states where you have the slow count, we just got the Fairfax information. In Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, transparency is going to be key in the hours ahead, because this is where, in this age of social media and everything else, this is where things start to fly around. The important thing is stay with the sources you trust, be patient. We're going to count them. We have eyes on them. It's all fine.
No rush. We'll take it easy. Right. We'll do it right. We have a key race alert. Some of the contests we haven't paid that much attention to, but take a look at this in Maine right now. 37% of the estimated vote is in. Joe Biden has an 18,000 vote lead over Donald Trump, 51.3% to 45.5%. The second congressional district in Maine with 1 electoral vote, 33% of the vote is in. Trump is slightly ahead, 8,841 votes, 50.6% to 45%. Only a third of the vote is in Maine. The second congressional district in Montana right now, Biden is ahead but it's close, by about 1,300 votes, 49.2% to 48.1%. 20% of the vote in Montana is in. So we're watching those contests as well.
And so, again, Very rarely does it happen, but every now and then, those one matter. You mentioned the Maine 2nd Congressional District. Democrats all along have thought that Maine was a state that they were going to win and win quite comfortably. As you can see, we're very early in the count right here. But you see the red up in the northern part of the state. Donald Trump carried this congressional district 4 years ago. Maine and Nebraska do it by congressional district. It is very rare that it comes down to, 269, 269, or 271. It's very rare that that happens. But on a night like this, we'll keep track of that count there because Democrats thought they had that one in their back pocket. But Democrats have been surprised in some other places tonight, or at least appear to be on the verge of being surprised. So we'll watch as it plays out. And so, again, you're going to go across this map, and you're looking at this map. And if you're watching at home, this is important. Throughout the night, Donald Trump had been leading in the popular vote. As we get the West Coast results, Joe Biden is now 1.6 million votes ahead there. That's important from a symbolic and a moral victory, but it's not how we pick presidents.
John, we got another key race alert, an important one right now. The Commonwealth of Virginia, look at this, 73% of the vote is in. Biden is now ahead by some 219,000 votes, 52.3% to 46% for Trump. All of a sudden, Biden takes the lead in Virginia, 13 electoral votes at stake in Virginia. That's significant, John. We were looking closely at those suburban Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia counties.
And so let's see what happened there, because, again, we've seen this play out in Virginia before where the Republican takes an early lead, but not all, and the Northern Virginia counties come in. And you see Fairfax County was at 28% moments ago. Now it's up to 86. If you need something fixed at home, you just need Pam Brown to talk about it on television. And then apparently it just happens right away. Pam talks about it and in come the votes. So that's good. It's a good thing. I'll give you Pam's phone number later in the program. As you go through this, look, on a night like this, when people are nervous, when we do have counting, it is important for people. So we give them credit for counting the votes when they did. And when you pull that back out then, all of a sudden, a state that you were watching all night long, you're wondering, why is that red? We talked about this all night long, and we're going to talk about it apparently through the night and into tomorrow when it comes to Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. We need to be patient. It's a very different year. These are good people who count votes. We beat them up sometimes. We ask, why aren't you doing this more quickly? They're good people, and they're counting the votes. We want them as quickly as possible. So now you see this, and that puts Virginia back again. So you come back out, and you look at this map where we are right now, right? So now we're at 1147. This is where normally we're thinking, are we close? Are we close to making a call? We are not. We are not. Why? We are not. Why? Because we're waiting for so much. Number one, you see those. They're red right now, but it's just not contextual. It's real. The president leads in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, but we're missing a ton of votes. We're missing a ton of votes. And so you look at this part of the country. Has anything changed? Right? Let me take this out. Has anything changed from 2016? No. Has anything changed from 2016? No, not yet. We're not done. We haven't called some of these states, but in terms of who's leading right now. And so the only thing on this map right now that's different is that, Arizona. And that's not called yet either, but it seems to be trending Joe Biden's way. So that was a key target for the Democrats. There's a Senate race out there as well, too. That was one. The Democrats came into the night thinking and hoping there would be more than one. We're not done yet. There may well yet be. Georgia, as we just noted, they have a lot of votes to count in Georgia. It's still close enough for those votes to make a difference. But the Democrats who spent this week saying it's going to be a blowout are reconsidering that right now. Again, we haven't finished with these states. But if you were going to have a blowout, even when you're waiting for some votes to be counted, in a blowout year, you're leading. You tend to lead. So it doesn't mean one or two of these won't flip back, but you don't see any evidence right now of a huge wave. And that's going to matter, not just for the presidency, as we get later in the night in the Senate, as we start doing the House tally, as tomorrow we think about governor's races and state legislatures. The fact that there's a lot of red here is better news for Republicans. How good? We don't know yet. It takes a few days to sort through that. And so you come back to this map here right now. Again, Joe Biden now ahead in the popular vote. That's just a moral victory. It's a symbolic victory. If you start to stretch it out, then it does affect the Electoral College map. But if it's pretty close, as it is right now, then you're doing state by state, hand-to-hand combat of presidential politics. And that comes down. I just want to check this one again. We kept waiting. Was Ohio going to change? 88. Again, we're still waiting. I was just communicating with a very good, solid Republican vote counter in Ohio. Very confident that's going to stay for Trump. Not a Trump person, just a very smart Republican vote counter. We'll see. We'll see if she's right. But, it sure looks that way. You come back here again. So you see this right now. You think it's halfway through. 519,000 votes. That's big, right? Even in a big state like Pennsylvania. However, let's go west to east this time. 98,000 votes. We've been stuck there for a long time. 17% of the estimated vote. Allegheny County, that's Pittsburgh. That's the suburbs around it. Remember that 98,000. This is a higher turnout year. We're seeing that everywhere in the country. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton got 367,000 votes in Allegheny County. We're just nowhere near done. We have a lot of votes to count there. Let's just come. I just want to check in some of the counties for the president. That's a county we expect to go for Joe Biden. Westmoreland County is a place where we expect the president to win. This was a challenge. Joe Biden campaigned here. When he came out of the Democratic convention, he took the train ride. Joe Biden came here on purpose. He wanted to see if he could narrow the gap. This is 64-33 last time. Let's come back here now. Not so far anyway. Not so far. This would be, again, this would be, if the president can hold this, that's a big deal. Joe Biden went into these communities thinking, I can narrow the gap some. But again, we're in the early chapter of this, and we don't know what we have left to come out. Let's come back over here. Again, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, this is what matters most in terms of the vote count. Democrats need to run it up big in Philadelphia. Joe Biden at 248,000, so just shy of 250,000 votes. You think that's a big lead. You see 75%. But to emphasize the point, we have a long way to go. Hillary Clinton got 584,000 votes in this county 4 years ago. We got a ton way to go. Wolf, back to you.
We'll be patient. We got another projection right now. Take a look at this. CNN projects that Joe Biden is the winner in Virginia. Virginia goes for Biden. Biden beats Trump in the Commonwealth of Virginia. 13 electoral votes go to Biden. Take a look at the electoral college map count. Right now, Biden has crossed 200. He has 205 electoral college votes right now. Trump has 114, 270 needed to win the presidency. Let's take a look at some of the key race alerts right now. Arizona right now, look at this. 76% of the estimated vote in Arizona is in. Biden is ahead in Arizona by more than 207,000 votes, 53.6% to 45% for Trump. So let's go back to John King right now. Arizona, 200,000 vote lead right now with that number, that percentage of vote in. That's pretty significant, John.
It is indeed. And so again, that's 2016. Let me come back to 2020, come through my time warp here and pull out Arizona. It is significant. Now, again, it's a flip, right? It would be a flip. It's a traditionally red state, so you're going to always be a little bit more cautious before you call it. And so we want to wait and see. But you're up to 76%. You're up to a 207,000 vote lead, 1.2 to 1. And again, this is the bread and butter of Arizona, 60% of the vote, Maricopa County. You see Joe Biden just shy of 800,000 votes right there, 54%. Let's just go back and take a look. Hillary Clinton, 700,000 votes, 702. 702, the Democrat this time, 798. So 96,000 more votes, and we're not quite complete yet here. Again, what does this tell you? Number one, it tells you the Biden campaign did a good job. But number two, it just tells you more about the suburban revolt. And again, we're seeing other places that are closer than they were 4 years ago. This would be a very important pickup for the Democrats if it continues to trend this way. And again, 54 if you round up to 45, so a 9-point race there. If you go back 4 years ago, it was close, but it was a 4.5-point race in favor of the Republicans. The demographic shifts in Arizona, the suburban revolt against President Trump, and this could be very, very important on a night where the other opportunities for the Democrats, at least as of now, do not seem to be bearing fruit. Florida's still red, Georgia's still red, North Carolina's still red, Ohio's still red. So if you're the Democrats and you're thinking, how do we take away, and I can walk over here and show you, how do we take away from Donald Trump's math? This is where we are right now with the states that have been projected. So this part is done. Nothing here is a surprise. So the question is, if you're Joe Biden, how do you get to 270? Well, that would help, right? 205 gets you up to 216. That would help. Doesn't get you all the way, but it helps. Not only does it help you go up, it takes it away from Donald Trump's 306. And so then you're looking at this map. If you're a Democrat and you're looking at this map, you assume this one's going to come your way. We're not done there yet, Minnesota. And you're looking around here, you assume most of Maine is going to come your way. Right now, President Trump was leading in that congressional district, so let's just take that away. I'm going to make the second congressional district a toss-up for now. The president is leading. The Democrats think they're going to get that, but again, they thought they were going to get some other places too. We'll watch. I'll take it off as a toss-up. So you're at 229, and you're the Democrats. How do you get there if you're Joe Biden, right? Well, you can't count on Texas right now. You're still leading in Iowa. No, you're not. You're not leading in Iowa anymore. You're going to get Hawaii. When we go a little deeper into the night, that gets you up to 233. And so then, again, it sounds redundant, but you come here, and even those two, not enough. So you're looking at that. Do you do that there? Or the other Clinton state, Nevada, we haven't done on the West Coast yet. You get that there. So that's 285. Can you afford to lose that? You can't afford to lose that. So we're going to walk through the math as we go through this for the rest of the night.
Let's take a quick break. A lot more coming up. We're waiting to see what happens in Arizona. Can Joe Biden pull off a win in that state? We'll find out. Election night in America continues in 2 minutes. The presidential race still up in the air right now with crucial battlegrounds still too early to call, too close to call. Here's where the fight for electoral votes stands right now. Take a look at this. 205 electoral college votes for Biden right now. That's what Biden has right now. You need 270 to win. It's a very, very important race right now. Let's take a look at the key race alert right now. In Pennsylvania right now, 51% of the estimated vote is in. Donald Trump has 56.5% to 42.1%. For Biden, he's got a lead of more than 500,000 votes right now, but 51% of the estimated vote is in. Still plenty of votes outstanding. In Michigan, still plenty of votes outstanding as well. 48% of the estimated vote is in. Trump has 54.4%. Biden has 43.8%. Trump is ahead by 289,000 votes. In Wisconsin, 61% of the vote is in. Trump has 105,000 vote lead over Biden, 51.6% to 46.8%. In Arizona, 76% of the estimated vote is in. Biden has 53% to Trump's 45% in Arizona. 207,000 vote lead for Biden over Trump in Arizona. As we follow some of those crucial undecided races, we're getting closer and closer to another poll closing just minutes from now. Voting ends in Hawaii. 4 electoral votes are at stake out of the 270 needed to win this contest. Let's go back to John King over at the Magic Wall. John, right now, Trump has 114 electoral